we want to do is kind of paint a picture for Washington fans, what they're getting in various players. So for you, you've been around Dax, you know Dax. What is Washington getting in Dax Milne?
Someone who absolutely loves the game of football, who's dedicated his life into the game. The guy's the most competitive person I've coached, and he loves playing wide receiver. He's a guy every single week that just look to find ways to perfect his craft, and I'm just super proud of him. He plays with a chip on his shoulder, and coming in as a walk-on, and getting to where he's at right now, that didn't just happen. That came through a lot of perseverance, feeling that motivation, that chip on his shoulder, and I think Washington fans are going to love everything about Dax.
When you say he's the most competitive person you've coached, why do you say that?
Every single opportunity where there's a chance to compete, he makes it clear that he's competing. There's drills we do. The game takes care of itself. Everyone kind of is ready, right, is up for a game. But in practice, when it's one-on-ones, or when it's in the weight room and guys are lifting, or when it's just a little drill in practice, or even in the off season, any chance where there's something to compete, even in our meeting rooms and we have little games, I'm trying to have a little fun and give these guys a break. And, a guy like Dax will turn it into a competition. Just any time he can compete, he's ready to do it.
Do you have a favorite memory from one of those games where, I have kids. I remember some games where we play where you see their competitiveness and I still laugh about them. Do you have something like that with Dax?
You're saying like a little game?
Yeah, just like, did you have like some of the games you guys would play where you kind of like, wow, he really is that competitive, where you just kind of saw that jump out, and something where maybe you laugh about later?
It's more, nothing specific, just more like he'll be the first one in the meeting room to just start laughing and poking fun at someone because of an answer they gave, just because he wants to like get guys' juices flowing a little bit. So he's just always, you can count on Dax to make fun of someone or to make a joke to get guys kind of get under their skin a little bit.
And I saw something where you one time said he's obsessed with the position, with his craft. How did you see that?
So the times I would look out the window in the off season and see him out there on the field alone, just training. When I would be in the meeting room and I would cover something, I would say, hey, here's a new technique we're going to use this week, or, here's a new adjustment to this play we're going to do. And then we go to the practice field. He's the first guy in the line every time. And he just right there nails exactly what I wanted to get done. Whereas a lot of guys have to kind of plan on reteaching it or echoing whatever I said. And so just, he's time after time, he's proven that he's able to retain things and implement exactly what you're talking about, because he really just thinks about football nonstop, 24/7. He's just got this natural feel to the game and to the position. And just the more success he sees, the more he continues to kind of flourish in that regard.
And when you'd see him out there working on his own, like, some guys can go out there that maybe they don't always know what to be working on. They're just working. So what little things would you see him working on that kind of showed you that he's he's not just out there working, he's really trying to improve?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. He would do a lot of things where he would work on transition, getting in and out of his break, which is funny because that's a major strength of his. And so he was finding ways to continue to already exist, and he just thought, you know what, I win one-on-one routes by how I run my routes. I really get open, but you know what, I can still get better. I'm going to get even better at those and create even more space when I run routes now. And I think a lot of that you can attribute to his self-awareness. He knows what his strengths are, what some of his limitations might be, and whether it's a weakness or a strength, just continues to perfect his craft. So I would see him all the time setting up cones, running routes, getting in and out of his breaks, and just trying to keep perfecting that.
And how did you see, like, he came in as a preferred walk-on. Did he surprise you by where he got? I know, did you recruit him before? Because you were at WR State, right? Yeah. So
correct. Yeah.
So you get him here as a preferred walk-on. You knew that he could play because you'd recruited him elsewhere, but how surprised are you he went from that to now this?
I'm not surprised, to be honest. I thought I was getting a steal when I was at WR State. He was ready to come to WR State. And so in 1 week I was wearing purple, talking to him about how we could feature him in Weber State's offense. And literally the next week, I'm in a blue polo talking about how we don't really have scholarships left. We are in a time crunch, and he's got to trust us, and he's got to know that I trust him, and we'll give him every opportunity to get on the field and potentially earn that scholarship. And credit to him and his family, and trusting him, and trusting the process. So to see him come in, like, I knew he had the skill set to just continue to be great. One thing that shocked me the most is how he continued to develop physically.
Mm.
He was probably 5'11", 175 when he got in, and now he's 6'1", 195, and he was totally fine. His size, I would have been fine if he stayed that size, because he was such a precise route runner. He was so good at what he did. But the fact that he was able to just get more broader shoulders and stronger and faster and taller was just an added plus. And so as you started to see him grow physically and mentally, intellectually in the game, you knew that he was gonna have a shot to play at the next level.
So when you started to see him grow like that and get bigger, how did that manifest itself on the field in terms of his play?
Just more confidence, his ability to use, not just have to use his quickness in a route. Now he could body guys up and be strong. The way he was blocking downfield, maintaining blocks, and taking pride in finishing with physicality, like, you could see that confidence was exuding as he just continued to physically develop.
Do you see him being more as a slot guy in the NFL?
I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they feature him more at, because he's got such a feel of, he has spatial awareness and a great feel of defensive coverage, can change routes depending on what guys do. He's a great reactionary player, but I played him a ton on the outside. That's what he mainly played. And I wanted to do that because not only was it for the betterment of our team, but to show he's an outside receiver. He can go up and win the one-on-one matchups. And so I can see, I wouldn't be surprised if they played him at slot, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they kind of just move him all across the board, because I think he's able to do that.
Why do you think he would be, especially because I think they probably would put him inside. They have some outside guys, and I could see him developing maybe him for a role inside in a year. Adam Humphries is here, but what would make him a good slot receiver in the NFL, do you think?
I think there's a lot of, offenses vary, but just speaking generally in West Coast terms, there are a lot of plays at the slot where you're going to have to read things on the fly. And I call them, sometimes they're diagram route runners. They're guys who are just going to run the route that's on the diagram. And then there's times where you have to really implement a feel and a slight adjustment to your route. And that's what happens more often than not, I think, especially at the college and at the professional level. And Dax has this natural feel that you just can't coach, and he's able to do that. And that happens a lot more at the slot, obviously, because most of the times you don't have that cornerback right in front of you. And so I feel that's why he would thrive. One of the reasons he would thrive at the slot.
And then, when he left school, he would come back to school. Were you surprised that he left? And is that more of an example of him, again, kind of betting on himself a little bit here?
Yeah. Yes to both of those. Surprised, not so much because I didn't think he should have, just because it was my little walk-on project that I brought on that was leaving the nest. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it was a sting in that regard. But as you let things settle, I was so happy and so proud and very supportive of his decision. And I just think he's gonna do a great job. I'm super excited for him.
What would you say? Okay, he's developing here. He's still got to get a little bit better over here. What are some things like that?
Yeah, I think honestly, just continual knowledge of the game of football. He definitely understands it. A lot of the things he does reactionary are because of that feel I'm talking about. But I think one thing he's just going to continue to get better at, and I'm confident he will, is really mastering defensive, coverages, adjustments, alignments by the defenders, what that means, pre-snap stuff. He's got a good feel of that, but I think that's something he's going to continually get good at. And I know those guys are going to, help him get to that point at the next level.
How do you think, just because his dad was in a different sport growing up and all that, but he kind of followed a similar path. How do you think that family dynamics maybe helps him to get to where he is now?
I think it's been everything. Dax's family, he's got an incredible family. Darren, his dad is an athlete. He gets it. He's very hands-off in his approach to his guys, but when he needs to get in those guys, he does. And you can tell he's an unbelievable father. And his mom Jill she's a sweetheart. She's a warrior, obviously a cancer survivor, and
Right.
to see her go through all that, and to see Dax handle all that, that's such a pivotal stage in your life, being in college and being on the stage Dax was on. To be able to manage those emotions and to stay true to who he is at his core was so cool to see. So his family's everything, the way they are and how they've raised him. It's why he is the way he is.
And that happened with his mom. It was I think it was 2018. I think that was.
Yes.
So
yeah.
how, because that's when he starts to blossom. I mean, that's for a kid that age to see your mom going through this while still trying to improve over here is not easy. And I mean, both of them are very difficult things to do and accomplish. How did you see him handle that whole situation, and how does that contribute to maybe just a different maturity level too?
Yeah, that's what it was. Dax was forced to be put in a situation where he had to understand perspective and realize that, where this is a time a lot of people are just having fun and partying their life away. He really had to buckle up and ask himself, what is my why? And that doesn't mean you can't have fun in college and all that stuff, but he really, I think some of those decisions he made, those sacrifices he made, where maybe he didn't, go hang out and I wanted to go to the field and perfect my craft or buckle down and do this homework assignment. Those are things where flashes of his family and his mom would probably pop through his head, and made those decisions much easier to make. So I think to see his maturity and development through all that, it was a learning experience for me. I think a lot of the guys on the team really gravitated towards him, really respected him for how saw him growing and seeing success, and realized that, our hands shouldn't have to be forced to put things into perspective and to learn sacrifice. We can learn through some of our teammates, and Dax was one of those guys. And so it's credit to him how he handled that. And I'm just grateful his mom's doing awesome now.
Right. Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
It was. And I would imagine too, like during that time, did you ever see him again, it's natural to have a difficult time with watching your mom go through this. Could you tell how it weighed on him, or could you just see more? I'm just going to pour it into this and not let it, I don't want to say distract because it's your mom, but I'm not going to, I'm going to use that as motivation to keep pushing forward. Did you ever see him have to kind of pause, and did you have to nudge him a little bit, or was it just all on his own?
I never had to nudge him, but you could see him wearing the stress and the gravity of that situation. But to his credit, he never let it affect his performance. You could see it on his demeanor at times. And I'm glad, because he showed he cared and he was vulnerable. But the thing that was awesome is it never fazed him in the way he cared about his business.
How cool was it to get on the scholarship?
Oh, it's awesome. It's just, that's why you coach right there. I mean, the best part of coaching is giving a kid a scholarship. The worst part is taking those scholarships away, and seeing a guy see that scholarship slip out of their hands. And so on that whole spectrum, though, that's why we do this. So I was so delighted to be able to see his reaction and, the tears and the smile on his face with all the hard work paying off. And he knew it wasn't the end, but it was just the start to something that was gonna be a great journey.
It's also validation for a kid's work. But I'll be honest, I think those are my favorite videos from college, the scenes where a guy is being awarded a scholarship. It's because that this guy had to put something extra into it to do that, and you have to earn the respect of the coaches and the players and all that. What do you remember about telling him that? Was it what was that like, even for you as a coach, and just that whole moment?
It was an intimate setting, which is how I like it. I think I agree with you, by the way, those team settings, they're awesome. And I think the reason why people get so excited about that is they're reminders that these guys are playing the game because they love it. Right. They're not handcuffed to the game because of a scholarship. The scholarship doesn't run them. These guys do it because they love the game, and those are good reminders. And so I think that's why there's so much genuine, pure emotion when guys are awarded scholarships. But I just remember the setting with Dax, just one-on-one after a practice, being able to tell him and just give him a hug and embrace him and let him know that he's just going to continue to get better. And it's just one of those memories I'll always remember. I'm grateful I was a part of that.
That's cool. Last thing here, Fesi, I appreciate you joining me. So does Zach Wilson go number 2 without Dax Milne?
I don't know, man. Zach's going to be the first to probably say yes, because that's how he is. He says he can't do it with anyone, and that's a credit to Zach. And I think the same thing could be said about Dax, going
Yeah,
because of Zach. And that's just
sure.
the way the game should be. I think the more we open our minds up and give credence, give credit to other people and all that stuff. That's what makes our team so awesome and special is guys aren't afraid to say, hey, I wouldn't be here without you. And so I think those two would both say that about each other.
And with Zach, he's obviously going to a tough place to play with the Jets. Haven't had a lot of success there, and he's going to be the guy. What about his makeup do you think makes him be able to work there? Will be able to make him work there in New York?
In his mind, Zach is the greatest quarterback in the NFL, and he does it in a way where he exudes confidence, but he has humility to him. And I think that confidence allows him to shut off that noise as much as you can, being in the position that he's in. And I know that that's hard to do, but I'm so confident in Zach. I will always bet on Zach Wilson. I'm so excited to watch him grow and flourish as a player and as a quarterback in the NFL. And I'm super excited for him.
What's the best quality that you see that you feel like he has? Is it just what you said, or is there something else with him?
He's the most motivated, driven, determined. I have endless memories of Zach in college being in the film room 11 at night where we have to kick him out of the offices. And this is right after practice. So these are 5-hour film sessions he's having on his own. The guy is just completely married to the game. He loves it. He understands it and is driven like unlike any other. And so those are things that that's why I know he's going to be successful.
And then last, anything else on Dax you want Washington fans to know?
They're going to love him. He doesn't say much. He's a very quiet type of guy who just goes about his business. But when you crack that shell open, get ready because you got some personality. Like that's what I love about the kid is he's very just, to himself. But when he hits that stride and when he starts to feel comfortable, there's an unbelievable human being there. And that's just who he is. I love the guy and I'm super excited for him.
Fesi, thank you very much. Appreciate the interview. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Take care. Enjoy your day.